joined by Tyler Harris and Pete Yonkman. If you're not been paying attention, a new NIL arm, I guess I'll call it, Hoosiers for Good. Pete is the president of the board, I guess you'd say. Tyler, what is your role for them? I don't.
Yeah, so I'm the executive director of Hoosiers for Good.
And this is the way I understand it, Pete. This is there's so many people out there that are jumping in and doing the NIL stuff, and it's unregulated. It's like the Wild Wild West. To me, this seems like a way of a group kind of trying to have some control over things and making sure that nothing nefarious is going on and knowing exactly who's doing what with whom.
Yeah, so it is interesting. It actually is regulated. There are some rules put out by
on paper.
Yeah, there are some pretty clear rules from the NCAA, and I think if you look at the announcements from some schools, they don't seem to have read those regulations. So, but we really wanted to find a pathway here that was doing it the Indiana way, which was, let's do this the right way. Let's do it following the rules, and let's find a way that these kids can benefit from their NIL, but at the same time, they can do some really good in our community too.
And a lot of those things are, like you said, are philanthropic, dealing with I saw the Boys and Girls Club of Bloomington is one of those, and I know there's a number of others. Riley's Children's Hospital is involved. So a lot of positive things can come out of it, in addition to it working both ways, which is also a great thing because now there is direction on what is being done and the positivity that comes out of that. How have you guys, did you come to this, Tyler? How did this come about?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give credit to Pete. He's the brainchild behind it. They came to me because of my background in the compliance office at IU and really wanted to do things the right way. So naturally, it was a fit. I was excited about the opportunities we were going to be able to provide to student athletes and them using their NIL to make it a better place, make Indiana communities a better place. So I'm excited to get on board. It's my first day. Still learning, but excited to get on board.
And ironically, I met Liz Alkis the other night, unrelated to this. She was out at Mike Woodson's coach's show at Southern Stone, and she came over to me, talked to the person, Mike Ross, the owner who I'm sitting with. But this was before this was announced, and then the next day or two, I see I'm like, oh my God, she's a board member. So, and I happened to see her at the tournament here a couple of days ago for a few seconds. But you guys have got a great mix of people from the Indianapolis, and not just Indianapolis, but from the community that are used to doing good. You're with Cook Medical, of course. Liz is with Riley's Children's Hospital. People from all walks of life. Fred Glass, I know, is the council. Former athletic director for Indiana, the council. So a great group of people has been put together for this.
Yeah, for sure. Calvert Cheney is part of our board. How did I forget him? Yeah, we have a great mix of people, right? We have people who are involved in the charitable space. We have student athletes who have just left school and been part of really connected to how the student athletes are today. We also have people like Calvert who clearly understand college athletics and what it is to be like a student athlete. And I think he understands particularly well the power that these student athletes have, right? The spotlight that shines very brightly on student athletes, not just the ones on the basketball team and the football team, but all of them, right? When they wear that uniform, when you put the IU uniform on, people listen. I always say, if you drive across the state, you look at how many IU flags are in front of houses and businesses. I really think these student athletes carry more voice and have more of a platform than just about anybody, politician, celebrity, anywhere. People listen to what these kids say. And so if we can partner with them and have them really shine this light on organizations like Riley, but even smaller, even some of these smaller charitable organizations that just don't get that spotlight, we think we can really drive some real benefit for people.
And so in layman's terms, for the fans, exactly what is going to be going on? I know that funds are going to be gathered, brought in, and watched, and then now how that goes out to or is used with athletes, how is that going to manifest itself?
Yeah, so I'll jump in, let Tyler speak there for more specifics. But so Hoosiers for Good is a Indiana not-for-profit company. We're now seeking 501c3 status from the IRS, which means if we get that status, people are able to donate and get a tax credit for that donation. We don't have that yet, but we're seeking it. So we've already raised several $1,000,000 for this effort. And the idea is we will go partner with student athletes, and we'll partner them with a charity, and they'll promote them on social media. They'll get to know about the clients these charities serve. They'll do events for these folks and really try to drive real change and real benefit for these organizations. So we're going to be doing deals here very, very shortly. I know Tyler is working like crazy. He's only his 4th day on the job, but he's hit the ground running, and we're excited about the potential some of these student athletes bring. You know, if you look right now, right, like some of the players have tremendous name recognition, like a Trace or a Race. These guys have big name recognition. But if you go back in history, we would have had, imagine what we could have done with like a Lily King when she was in school, and partnering her with Riley Children's Hospital or Turnstone in Fort Wayne. I mean, the attention would have been tremendous.
How much would you have sold of Steve Alford? I mean, I think of Steve Alford, which not for any. He was the name around the state. I mean, you talk about Damon Bailey. I mean, names that capture. I'm like, wow, yeah, they could have killed it.
Kyle Schwarber. Think about Kyle Schwarber when he was playing baseball.
Yeah, there's so many different things. How do you determine who you work with, on what team, what athletes, and all of that?
Tyler, I'll let you
Tyler?
Yeah. We're not going to have a one size fits all model when it comes to these NIL agreements. But we always fall back on our foundational principles. So we've got kind of two things that we work through, right? You know, student athletes that have a platform already that really can create value for our charitable partners. But on the flip side, we're going to be launching a first of its kind charitable incubator program that will encourage broad-based participation from all IU student athletes, and they'll submit a proposal to us, and then we can't fund all of them, but we'll partner with them for an NIL agreement to help them reach their passion and their voice.
Yeah, I think it's also what you're looking for is somebody who, we call them stars in our world, right? A star for us is a student athlete that has a platform and a voice, that wants to use that in a way that's really positive and authentic. So we're looking for those student athletes who bring something to the table, and they're like, you know what, I get this. I think I have this passion about whatever that issue is for them. We can partner them, but we want them to learn. One of the things we hope will come out of this is that these student athletes, whether they go to be a pro or not, they're going to be leaders in our community. And if we can get them experiences early in life that allow them to see the benefit and the power they have as an athlete, but also then just as a leader, I think that's a really positive thing.
And there, like I mentioned earlier, there are other people out there that try to do NIL deals, which are basically independent. And like there are regulations, like you said, but I've just kind of laughed at that because I remember Texas came out with this deal for any offensive lineman that signed had a $50,000 deal. I'm like, well, that's against the rules because it's an unnamed person. It's just a blank check basically being offered. So that's what I was laughing about when I said that earlier. But and now Indiana wanting to do everything the right way as they always have done. Is there any way of not wanting student athletes to deal outside of you guys?
Oh no, we don't view that. We're a pathway that student athletes can choose. There may be some athletes who say, I want to sell shoes and stuff. Great for them. There'll be lots of opportunities for them to do that. We're just creating a separate pathway where we think like, hey, if you're kind of interested in building your brand and understanding that the power that you have, this is a real opportunity. I think it's really important, no matter where a student athlete goes, especially if they go to the pros, right? If you're a student athlete that's going to be a pro player, I think you have an obligation and really to sort of give back and use that power that you're gaining in a way that can be positive. And I think student athletes today know that. They know they need to be connected to their communities. And that's why we want to create this early platform and pathway for them to do that.
Tyler, Indiana, everything is so much bigger now with marketing and visual stimulus that we get. Indiana goes to the lengths of, I think, designing logos for the players. And so they're kind of getting a head start on branding themselves. Are you all going to try to expound upon what they have going from that, or something separate? As far as branding them as an athlete.
Yeah, so we are a separate entity, but we are going to work through ways that we can identify them as a Hoosiers for Good athlete. Because it all goes back to their brand, and I truly believe student athletes are going to really positively impact the brand. When people see them engaging in charitable work, just like Pete said, it creates community-minded leaders. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for people who are passionate about what we're doing. And from my time at IU, I think we'll have no shortage of student athletes who'd be interested.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
go ahead.
But I was going to say, I have two boys. They're 9 and 14, and they both play sports. And it's amazing to watch these student athletes on social media, right? They copy with the clothes they wear, the music they listen to, what they say. If these student athletes start putting out, hey, this is my real world experience of helping a kid deal with childhood leukemia, boy, that's going to make an impact on these younger generations too. People are going to get this. And that's why we're excited to be able to talk more about this, because I think people, once they start to understand NIL, I think there's still some confusion out there, but they see this pathway that student athletes are going to be able to bring. We're excited about that. And we've already had great interest from donors. And by the way, if people are interested in learning more, we have a HoosiersForGood.org website. People can donate directly there. And, we're excited about the deals we're going to do here very shortly in the next few weeks.
We'll get that up on the site as well. I was going to say, what's your anticipated first deal, quote unquote deal, to be announced?
Yeah, we're working through that. There's a lot of layers that are involved, with NIL, right? Some student athletes have agents that you have to work directly with. Some student athletes do not, and you have to find a way to get in contact with them. But at the end of the day, we'll be announcing some here in the next couple of weeks, and they'll all go back to kind of what I think is a defensible mechanism and tangible evidence as to why we're selecting people. And big platform, maybe they're from the state of Indiana, but we're going to be a diverse group, and we want to get a lot of participation.
I think a lot of this is going to depend upon, as time goes forward here, it's student athletes, right? What do they bring to the table? You may have some years where the basketball team is the most recognizable players in the world, but it goes back to like when Lily King was here. I would argue she was probably the most recognizable person at IU athletics. So, and then there are times when the football player, the quarterback, or the linebacker, it depends. We also say it's probably likely that the way social media is today, there may be a backup volleyball player who has 100,000 followers and is passionate about food insecurity. That person is going to be a star for us. So there's a little bit democratic here, how these students build their brand and how they build their platforms.
It sounds amazing. And this is, from what I understand, the first of its kind, the way you guys have set this up. Is this right?
So I think there are folks who are doing a lot of things out there.
Right.
We think we're the first of our kind who has been transparent about these are the rules and we're going to follow them. There are a lot of organizations that I think are, I'm not going to speak on specifics of them, but I think they're trying to wrap themselves in charitable, and I'm not sure they are. So I think we just have said we want to do this transparently. You can go to our website, see what we're about. We've made sure we've let every organization, all the regulators know what we're doing. We just want to do this the right way, the Hoosier way, and make sure there's no problems for the university or for us or their student athletes.
And it seems like you guys are doing this without the attention. The attention goes to the student athlete and whomever they're working with, whatever cause it is.
That's exactly right. Like, I give you an example. There's an organization here in Indianapolis called Stop the Violence, and it's run by Anthony Beverly. He's really working hard to decrease the amount of violent crime that happens in some of our communities. he's a small organization. He was never going to have the ability to go out and hire a student athlete to bring attention to his work. But now we have the ability, because of who we are and our organization, we have the ability to partner some student athletes who may care about this and bring some real attention to an organization that's doing tremendous work that never in the past would have had this capability.
Well, Pete and Tyler, I can't thank you enough. Looking forward to talking more about this as it goes further and grows, and staying in touch with you, because it sounds like this is going to be a fantastic organization and something fun for all the Indiana students, athletes.
Thank you very much.